Good morning, you badass motherfuckers. It's the results. Kill excuses. The morning drinking show. We doing some shit here. We mixing it up. Uh-oh. Some of y'all caught that, didn't you? We gonna start mixing it up little by little. Cause we still doing life. We still waking up with intention. How you badass motherfuckers doing, man? Good morning, you badass motherfuckers. Good morning. Mm, we doing life. Doesn't it taste sweet? It tastes sweet. See, like 2 days ago, like this is life right here, man. New Mexico weather is like literally a picture of most of y'all's emotional state of being, right? 3 days ago, it was sunny, it was warm. I was wearing t-shirts and shorts. Then the next day, it was a blizzard, like freezing, crazy blizzard, right? Right. And now today, it's gonna be like almost 80 degrees, right? But at night, it's still getting cold, and so when I say that, that's like, kind of like a picture of a lot of people's emotional state of being. It's like a roller coaster, is it? Up and down and up and round and all of this stuff, man. Just bouncing all over the place. Sometimes we feel like we got zero control over our emotions. And I think that's the main focus here. That's what I've been talking about. That's what I've been working on, right? I've been working on it this morning. I worked on it yesterday. I've been working on it, God, I guess my whole life, right? Is understanding our emotions, right? That's like the most powerful piece here, you guys, is when you can really start to master your emotions, not suppress, not avoid, not numb out, not hide from, right? Not ignore your emotions, but just sit there and understand that they exist, right? Good emotions, bad emotions. Most of us don't have issues with good ones. I can tell you, this is a total moment of truth, and that's what we do here. That's why I think a lot of you continue to get back on here, is because we talk in truth like no other. There's a lot of people that just can like inspire you, motivation, but it's when we get vulnerable about ourselves, right? So someone that's even been sharing a message for over a year and a half almost, right? To sit here and say, most of us don't have a problem with a good emotions, right? But here's the thing. I know my therapist over the years has always told me we spend about 10 times more dwelling on the bad things, right? Curved thinking, right? Just going over thinking the bad things versus when good shit happens, we don't really we it's like it comes and goes, right? It flows through us. It's like we won't really even sit there and appreciate it. You should see how hard it is for a lot of people. I really go out of my way with intention to compliment people. And a lot of people don't want to receive that. And I know this because I used to be that one of those people. I used to be somebody that when someone would make a compliment, unsolicited, right? And not without like some kind of weird malicious, just a stranger giving you a genuine, just out of nowhere type compliment. That's the universe telling you and sending you love. But for you to sit there and receive it and be like, you know what, thank you. That made my day. Thank you for that. And then it's like you move on. It's you don't need to exchange numbers and make out all this bullshit. The universe just sends you love. And a lot of us, when we don't love ourselves, we have a really hard time. We don't even think about it. Because right away we don't feel that we're worthy of it. And that's a tough thing. But I know that in myself right now, one of the big challenges for me is I find myself in a place of neutrality. I find myself able to stay centered and grounded that when things are really tough, when things are really challenging, right? That I don't get knocked the fuck out. I don't like lose it the way I used to. I don't let my anger, my frustration, right, just overwhelm me. And so what I do feel challenged by, right, is truly tapping in to that sense of pure happiness and joy, right? Truly tapping in and allowing it to just exist in my life, to truly feel happy, fulfilled, joyful, right? For everything I have right here, right now, right? And most of us, myself included, I'm speaking from first person, is that, we still long for things, right? We still desire things. And it's sort of like that's a losing battle, right? That is an absolute mental fuckery, right? That we continue to play with ourselves, because if you look back on your life, there's plenty of things that you've wanted and that you have gotten, but yet if you think about your mental state of being right now, are you happy that you got all the things you got? Or is there still something else, the next thing that you still need to feel, that to give yourself permission to just genuinely be happy and thankful for life, thankful for all that you got? Like, we can say it, we can think that we're happy, right? But a lot of us, we want someone else to come into our life to truly feel that we're capable of being happy. I remember that pressure throughout many relationships I've been in, right? Of feeling the pressure that it was my duty, my responsibility to make sure that someone else was feeling happy, right? Because if they weren't happy, it was somehow an issue with me. I was not either good enough or the right person or doing the right things, right? That's a really challenging thing. That when we can get to a place where we realize that our happiness has to come from within. You have to be able to figure this shit out of what makes you happy. And just knowing that being alive, right? Waking up in the morning, you should already be filled with a sense of joy and happiness. And that's a real big challenge for a lot of people. And that's why I put this program out there every day, because for me, not only do I listen to sleep affirmations every night, you guys, and this probably sounds wild, it sounds weird and different, but I live by this shit, right? Because I do know that the things that I've lived through, right, that have caused a lot of emotional, mental, and even physical harm on my body, that a lot of that is being held at a really deep place within inside of me, right? Within inside of you, right? It's within that subconscious. And a lot of us, it's hard to even understand the difference between our conscious state of being, right, and our subconscious. And then there's even another deeper level than that, the superconscious, right? And most of us don't even have any awareness that we even have this subconscious level of being. And it actually, the crazy part about that is that your subconscious state of being is actually more than a majority of your awakening state of life. So as you go throughout this day, right? If this is a Sunday for you, it doesn't matter what day it is, but whatever day it is, you can identify the day. Identifying the day is your conscience. But then have what you do on these, what is your pattern for doing this type of a day throughout the past week, past month, past year, past 10 years, past 20 years? What do you do, right? I talked about it earlier last week. On the weekends, if you have a pattern of fucking off on the weekends, if you have a pattern of just checking out on the weekends, right? Guess what? You're running a program. And that program is not conscious, it's subconscious. This is what you have trained yourself to do. And everything that's attached to it is your emotions. And a lot of that is just attached on what? Tolerance and survival. The bare minimum of emotions, survival. Like, what does it take for you to survive and get yourself ready to tolerate another work week, right? Because most people watching this is going to be on a Sunday. But it doesn't matter. You can always just reflect that. Look, if you're going into a work week, if you're into a work week already, right, you have the days that you have off are usually used as like a, decompression and a reset and recovery from what you just went through in terms of your life, in terms of your career, in terms of your job, right? And that shit is leaving you drained. That shit's not leaving you reinvigorated. It's not even building you up, right? Most people feel underappreciated and undercompensated and overworked, right? And that's a tough place to be. And things are not getting easier. Things are getting a lot harder, much harder. Are they not? Anybody want to disagree with that? That most people, again, it's psychological, things are getting tougher. And it'll continue to get that way because everything is based on your mentality. Do you have a positive attitude or do you have a negative attitude? Or are you just a defeated person? And if you're defeated, you're sitting in a negative state of being. If you feel like life's just beat your ass, right, knocked you out, and yeah, you got back up, but you're done. You're like, I don't want no more of that. So now you're just playing avoidant, right? Now you just are trying to like say, I can't do anything difficult. I can't do anything hard. Like I can't. It's never going to change. It's never going to be different. All this negativity in your life, it all starts right here in your mind. And the more that you actually are able to sit there and realize that that is a big place in your mind, right? The negative pattern of thought, right? Until you come to that conclusion that you are a negative person, that a lot of your thoughts are negative, and most people's are. And you're not going to really be able to put it into perspective until you start writing it down, right? That's a great journal exercise. Just to sit there and just to literally write down all of your thinking. What are you thinking about throughout the day? You could even just say there, how do you feel about your body, right? How do you feel about your job? How do you feel about your finances? How do you feel about your health? How do you feel about your relationships, right? How do you feel about the place where you live? And it's like when you actually start doing this, and most of us, we think we know. You think that you know, but when you actually write it down, it's like, whoa. And now you can actually read it, reread it, analyze it, look at it from sideways, backwards, upside down. It's not just in your mind, just floating around until you get the next piece of distraction. Why do you think we turn to all this shit? Right? The tube, watching other people work. It's because what? You need to be distracted from yourself. Because for you to sit there, right, and sit in your own mind, in your own head, and try and like figure out how you're really feeling, and then not turn to a vice, not go get high, not go get drunk, right? Not just burn hours watching the tube, right? Not just scrolling, right? Not just eating a bunch of unhealthy food, but just sitting there and saying, man, what is going on in my life? And what's going on in your life isn't what's going on outside of you. What's going on in your life is what's going on inside of you, right? And a lot of us, we have literally allowed for the external to control what's going on inside of us, right? Who gets elected, right? Who wins the game, right? Who gets a bailout? Who wins this? Who's on vacation, right? We allow for all of these things, big and small, to impact what's going on inside of us. And yet we don't want to actually sit there with ourselves in a quiet place and document what is really happening inside of us, inside of our mind, inside of our bodies, right? Which is really the emotions of how do we feel about stuff. Because when you do that, you're going to actually have to see something about yourself that you're probably pretty afraid to actually face. And that's the message of today. Is it that you can't journal or that you won't journal? Right? You can't do it. Is that telling me that what? You're blind? You gotta write. You can't write? You don't have money for a $3 fucking notebook? What is it? You can't journal. Oh, you don't have no time for it. Is that what it is? Or is it really just that you won't? Because if you do, you're going to have to learn something about yourself. Right? Or you won't because guess what? You're going to have to miss the big game. Right? You won't because you might have to actually go to bed earlier and wake up earlier and get more things done before your day starts so that you can actually show up, right, to that job with a positive mental attitude, with more clarity, more focus, maybe even more resolve to say, you know what, this ain't working for me no more. I'm not going to just abandon the ship, right? With an impulse to say, I quit. I'm going to put together a plan and I'm going to actually put a bet on me. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to move to a new town. I'm going to start my life over. Do you know you could do that? It would be courageous. It wouldn't be simple, right? It wouldn't just be easy. But if you wrote down, how do I feel about where I live? How do I feel about my job? How do I feel about where I live, my house? How do I feel about my my life, right? How do I feel about my body? How do I feel about my health, right? How do I feel about my friends? How do I feel about my spouse? And without trying to edit, like if you're trying to pass a test, right? That's the thing about the journal. The journal is not a test, right? There's no pass or fail. You have to show up with authenticity, to be honest with who? Yourself. And not worry about anybody sneaking in and reading it. You know, like little kids, you know, it's like the diary, right? You know, the boy finding the little girl's diary, unlocking, picking the lock, right? To see what she has to say, right? And even that was like a connotation that journaling's somehow for chicks, only for chicks. It's like, no, man, like we all need to know our story. We all need to know how we feel. Because when you write that shit down, and if you're not super excited, right? If you're not like, man, I love my hometown. I love this environment. I love it. And then answer why. Why? Don't just say I love where I live. Don't just say that. That's as someone that taught elementary education in the classroom for a couple of years, right? There's a difference between a complete sentence or even a complete paragraph, right? And it's the sense of how much detail you put in there. So if you are not really used to journaling, don't just answer by I like my hometown. I love where I live. Explain why. Why with details. Elaborate. Why do you love it so much? Right? Because that's the thing. We got to quit bullshitting ourselves. Right? Why? Why do you love it? Because, oh, my family's here. Because, you know, I've been in the same place for 10 years. Right? Because, you know, I go visit my family and my mom makes me dinner 7 nights a week, but I'm 40 some years old. Well, I'll be honest with you, man. That's really cute. I'm glad you have a close relationship with mom, but there may be some growing up to do, right? But that's not for me to say about your life. I'm just saying more people, if you're continuously relying upon your parental figures and you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever hell age you are, right? It should be time that you're taking care of them. There does come a point in life where you could probably be taking care of them, right? That they're not still taking care of you. And I'm not saying, hey, don't go hang out with them, right? But are you using that as a reason to not be building in your life, not be making moves, not be chasing and working towards your own goals and dreams? Because is that your goal in life? Your goal in life is to make sure that you get to have mom make you dinner every day of the fucking week. Or is your goal to maybe go out there and explore and to meet someone new, do some new things, try some new things, visit some new places, maybe even move, try and live somewhere else on your own, being independent, right? Being self-sufficient, And yet, if you're unhappy with so much of this stuff in your life, and the only way you're going to do it isn't just thinking. You can't just think. You got to write. And you got to elaborate. Because if you're just bullshitting yourself, you're going to say, I like my job. Or most of you won't even do it. I can't do it. But it's really that you won't do it, because if you actually have to face yourself in the mirror, and I'm talking about the mirror of paper, right? Because that is the most reflective place ever. Looking in the mirror, most of us, we won't even recognize ourselves, because you have a whole nother delusional version of who you think you are. And that's what's beautiful, right? Beauty is not that you're delusional. Beauty is that when you actually tap into the spirit inside of you that does transcend this body, that spirit's youthful, is it not? Right? Does your spirit, some of us, maybe the spirit feels old, but for me, the spirit is youthful. I always felt youthful. I always had youthful eyes and a youthful mind and a youthful vision, other than when I was like totally wasted or intoxicated or shit like that. But the purity of my spirit has always been youthful, timeless. Let's call it that. And so most of us have a delusion. So even looking in the mirror, you're not like, go look in the mirror, but even do this better. Get on the scale and look at that. Because that's the tail of the tape. Looking at the scale is the tail of the tape. But what are you going to say? I can't do that. Or you won't do it. Which is it? Is it that you can't, right? Your legs are broken, so you can't get on the scale. Or is it that you won't because you don't want to see the tail of the tape, the truth? You don't want to look down and see what's looking back, because I see 222s going across the screen. That's how I know we're aligned. I hope those of you that are tuning in here realize, or even give me feedback. I'm feeling a shift, you guys. I'm feeling a shift. This is a beautiful thing. I'm feeling a shift in my message. I'm feeling a shift in what's flowing through me, right? Will I always probably be dropping F-bombs? Probably. But there's something shifting in this message, and it's a beautiful thing. I started with the results kill excuses. We're going to be switching to that. That is the branding. That is what I truly believe is on my heart to communicate to this world, right? The results kill excuses mantra. And with that has also come a development with me. There's growth, there's expansion, there's healing, right? There's me challenging myself day in and day out. I'm not the same motherfucker, right? Let's keep it real, that I was last year this time. As I started a brand new journal today, right? I did some reflection, and it's like, man, my life has changed in incredible ways, you guys, in 1 year. And I continue to believe it's going to continue to change, continue to grow, continue to expand, right? Because that is what I am believing in. That is what I am journaling about and writing about. Because I know what I will accept, and I know what I won't. And I also know what I can do, and I also know what I can't do. What I can't do is very fucking small. That's a tiny list. Because it's usually that I just won't do it. And why won't I do it? Then that's where I start zeroing in. When I know it's something I can do, but I'm hesitant, I'm resistant, I'm avoidant to do it, that's where I have deep conversations with myself, sometimes in journaling, sometimes in meditation, sometimes just sitting there and just really having a conversation with myself for a few minutes to say, what's going on? Where's this resistance coming from? What's the fear here? What's the hesitation? What are you concerned about? Right? And then what I do realize is that it's not that I can't, it's that I don't want to. And then I usually figure out why I don't want to. And then I usually say, fuck it, let's go. Because I want to be on the other side of that. Because I know that, again, most of us will say that we can't do, it's basic shit that we're afraid to do. The other day, I did a cold plunge in the river, and right now the rivers are running fucking wild and crazy because of runoff, and we have a huge spring runoff. So I'm grateful to our creator, to God, for providing so much moisture, man. We need it. We need the moisture. And that's why even when the snow happens in spring, people freak out, right? Me, I'm just grateful, man. Grateful for any drop, all the moisture we get, because water is life. We need water. And the river's running crazy. So this creek that I've posted with me getting in, man, it's not like that right now. It's raging. But yet I go over there and it's like, wow, the place I usually stand by is totally washed out. The river is totally different dynamic. And so I had to like reevaluate. And there was a part of me that was like, man, I got to still get in here. I'm here. And I get in and like my feet start like freaking flying downstream. I'm like, whoa, I'm like grabbing on rocks and grass. And yet what I'm trying to explain is that there are times where, so I did it the first time and it sucked because I like got in and I was like, you know, a big ass wave was forming over me because I was holding on for dear life to be in the water, and it was dangerous. That's what I'm trying to explain, is that that was an experience that I knew. I'm like, there's danger here, right? But I still knew that I could do something. I know that there are parts in the river that are not as dangerous. It's not like I jumped in the middle. Like a lot of times I'll get in the middle. I didn't get in the middle. I stayed on the side, right? I found the depths. They're called eddies, right? They're called eddies where the water hits like a little bit of a turn in the river. And it's like, it's just a really calm place. And so I found an eddy, right? Knowing there's danger all around, but also knowing that I could find a place where I could accomplish what I wanted to do, right? And a lot of people, you would see that. A lot of people just see the river even when it's mellow, but snow all around and ice in there. And you're like, I won't do that. I can't do that. And I won't do it. And you got to ask yourself, why? Why? Is there fear? Because if I can do it and I know other people that can do it, then what is your limiting belief that says you can't or you won't? And then you got to apply that to all these other areas in your life. I can't go back to school. I won't go back to school. Right? I can't get a new job. I won't get a new job. I can't move to a new town. I won't move to a new town. I can't end this relationship. I won't end this relationship. Right? I can't eat healthy. I won't eat healthy. I can't reduce my time watching TV. I won't reduce my time watching TV. Right? I can't start loving myself more. I won't start loving myself more. Right? I can't go and volunteer. I won't go and volunteer. Which is it, guys? Which is it? You got to have these conversations with yourself, because no one else is going to be able to convince you. I wish I could. I wish me alone communicating this type of a message, which I think is very different. There are similar, but this is different. This is my message because I'm coming from here and I'm keeping it real. And there's so many people out there, right, that you can't even convince yourself. But who else is going to? I'm grateful that I know I have reached many people. And I desire to reach many, many, many more. In terms of actual people taking actions in their lives in a positive direction. I believe I'm called to do this. I believe that I am called to give this message, to help people find themselves. Realize that their pain, that their suffering is really emotional. It's psychological. It's mental, right? And that no matter how you feel today, you could feel better tomorrow by changing what you do today. Because you right now have a pattern on what this day of the week is like in your life. And if this is one of those days where it's like Sunday fun day, I don't really have to do a whole lot. I can just kick back because I need to, because I know what I have coming up next week. And I'm already dreading what's next. That a lot of times you can't even really enjoy what's now if you're actually dreading what's coming up next. Do you realize that? That when you know shit is like not desirable for you, and that you really like you tolerate it, you get through it, you survive the dreaded work week after week, you have built a pattern in your body to be able to endure an uncomfortable psychological situation, right? Something that lacks meaning and purpose for you to really feel like you're making a difference, right? You're just doing a mediocre thing. If you can't even develop mental toughness in that, to where one, it really just starts with gratitude. Just be grateful that you have the job. Be grateful for every single dollar you get. Be grateful for the people that hired you, whether they treat you well or not. Just have gratitude that you have that. But also know that if you want something different, you can have that too. But it's going to take some courage. It's going to take some guts. It's going to take a plan. It's going to take action, right? And it may even take, you having to change some things up, because I heard Mark Cuban say this yesterday. He'd much rather, right, be working for himself, making $50,000 a year, right? Mark Cuban, this guy's a billionaire. Y'all know this guy. Owner of the Dallas Mavericks, Shark Tank, all that shit. He would much rather be working for himself, hustling, grinding, $50K a year, than working for someone else for six figures, 75, 100 grand, right? And it's all based on one thing: freedom, true freedom, autonomy, right? Being able to create the perfect day, which then ultimately creates the perfect week, the perfect month, and the perfect year, and the perfect life. That doesn't mean it don't have problems. That doesn't mean it doesn't have challenges. But when you get to be the master of your life, your universe, right, it is very empowering, psychologically speaking. And yet so many of us, we live for that weekend, right? We need these days to reset, right? But are you really doing mindful practices that do actually build you up, raise your vibration, raise your energy, build you up as a human being? What are the things you are habitually doing on these said weekends? Are these healthy habits for life? Or do you use the weekends to abuse yourself in ways that you know you're not proud of, in ways that you know you're embarrassed of, in ways that you know that you wish you could fucking change and break free from it? And it could be something that I just continue will talk about this. Over drinking, right? Getting high, using drugs, overeating, overindulging, just vegging the fuck out, sitting there watching the tube. None of those activities, as fun as they have been in my past, right, have ever added more value to my life. And yet, if you're someone that desires more value in your life, you have to raise your standard, which means you have to limit the amount of time that you allow yourself to be distracted to just check the fuck out. That you actually need to start engaging with habits and activities that they may wear you down psychologically, mentally, and emotionally, but they're going to build you up on the other side of that. They may push you and challenge you to your limits, right? But it's important to push past so many different levels of pain. I have a motivational track I listen to all the time, and Eric Thomas, right? He's a big time motivational speaker. He talks a lot about outlasting the pain, right? We all have different levels of pain that we are carrying around right now. Emotional pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, physical pain. We have to learn how to overcome and transcend those pains, right? You also need to know how to heal those pains. I'm someone that 5 years ago, if you had asked me, can food heal your body? I would have been very weird about that answer. Right now, having transformed my whole entire life by changing up my nutrition, right? My nutrition gave me the portal to fucking walk through to get back to being the best version of myself. And it's not even getting back. I moved forward, right? I am more physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually strong, tough, powerful than I've ever been in my entire life. But my nutrition is the catalyst for that. Because every single day I got food right here. All the food that I'm putting into my body is packed with what? Vitamins, minerals, nutrients, right? And energy to allow me to be the best version of myself. Focused, clear, intentional, right? Endurance. And it gives me that vitality to go out and live life at an optimal, supreme level, like superhuman shit. And if you're sitting there low energy, brain fog, unmotivated, right? Vegging out, like look to your food. You know it's your food. You know it. You don't need me to teach you this shit. You know it. You know that your food is one of the biggest problems in your life. What you put into your body. And most of your food is based on emotions, right? There's a lot of people that grew up maybe like in a level of poverty, struggling, right? With parents struggling, always fighting about bills, arguing, paying bills, that we create patterns that somehow when payday comes, we get to eat like this really good meal, right? Because maybe the rest of the week it was just meh. And so we use even food to reward ourselves for, but it's not. We use food to reward ourselves for like accomplishing getting a paycheck, right? Getting a check from the government. We go and like, man, I'm gonna go buy steak and lobster. I'm gonna go out and eat sushi tonight. I got paid, right? And we create this pattern, but it's like at the end of the day, having a good meal like that, that's full of fat, full of just unhealthy calories, right? We think that that's being rich, that that's somehow you being a, more wealthy, more prosperous person. But I'm a believer in 23 that your health is your wealth. And if you're walking around as an unhealthy human being, you're as broke as can be. Because if you're unhealthy, you are not living your best life. Tell yourself otherwise, but I'm telling you the truth. And you could be living better by just switching up. But is it that I can't change what I eat or that I won't? And if you won't, then that's your decision. That's 100% on you. I'm not going to be able to convince you otherwise. I'm not here to convince you. I want to inspire you. And there's a difference. Because if I can convince you, talk you into something, guess what? Someone else can talk you out. It's going to be that call next weekend. I experience this as a health coach right now. With people, it's like everyone struggles with the weekend. Because the minute you start switching up your habits, your nutrition, drinking less, going out less, fucking off less, right? The people that are used to having you around in that environment with that pattern of life, they're going to be like, what the hell, man? You're not our friend no more. Why aren't you coming out? They're going to guilt trip you. And that's where people need to like start saying, I'm a grown ass adult. I don't need you to validate my life, right? When I feel like shit, you don't feel how I feel. And for whatever reason, right, we sell ourselves out for that acceptance, that group acceptance, feeling like we're still part of the cool kids. But here's the thing, man, we need to grow the fuck up. This ain't about being cool kids. This is about you discovering your truth, cultivating the gifts inside of you, and then sharing that with the world, becoming the best version of yourself every single day. And that is a very singular journey. It's great when there's people along for a ride, but the types of people you want are people that are what? Going to pick you up when you fall down and cheer you on as you're kicking ass, right? Not people that are kind of begrudgingly talking shit behind your back, right? And when you fall, they ain't there, right? And a lot of us have those types of friends, right? They're there when the times are good, but when times get bad, they ain't there, right? Or they're just always talking shit. And most of us are okay with that because we doing it too, right? If we want to have that real talk, we are talking shit too, right? Because like attracts like. If you can look at your friends, the people you spend the most time with, and say, what are the things you don't like about them? Guess what? You got to realize that is you too. And that's all this journey, right? This is life. It is about waking up in a spiritual sense, waking up beyond the body, beyond the ego, beyond the bullshit, and getting into a place of spirituality that gives you the freedom and flexibility to truly discover who you are. What do you love? What do you hate? What do you want? And why? Why? Right? And then you have to defeat that little bitch voice inside of you that says, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that either. I can't do that. When it's really that you just won't. Well, why won't you? Well, I don't have this and that. And that's all you know already, right? It's the excuses. The won'ts is excuses. The can'ts are excuses, right? And excuses don't get you nowhere. And they definitely don't give you peace. You will not be able to sit there, right? With a clear state of conscience, a clear state of being, right? Carrying around nothing but excuses as to why you won't do anything in your life to change. Why you can't. You've told yourself. You've literally lied to yourself that you can't change. You are who you are. That is bullshit. I challenge you. I challenge you to even hit me up. If you're someone, I can't change, right? No matter what I've tried, I just can't change. I challenge you, yes, you, to hit me up. It's going to cost you, right? It's going to cost you. What is it going to cost you? You want to know the real price? Everything. Everything you got right now, it's going to cost you it, right? And that's the price that most people won't pay because you are so comfortable, you are so complacent, you are so miserable clenching on to what you have right now, which is not a whole lot, that you've told yourself, I can't let go. I can't change. And thus, you won't. You won't change. And that's your choice. And I know that you won't find peace with that choice because it'll continue to eat at you as it did with me. I'm speaking to this first term. I always believe that, I've been hearing this lately, Wes Watson, I think says it, is that we are all qualified to help the person that we were. That's who I was, motherfuckers, right there. I was that guy, the drunk motherfucker. That's who I was, right? I'm perfectly qualified to help people, right? That are full of potential, but also full of shit, right? That are full of excuses, but have so much potential to live their life. Live it higher, live it better, live it more meaningful, live it more free, have genuine love for others, no strings attached, right? I'm perfectly qualified to help a lot of people I know. But you got to want the help. And you got to quit telling yourself on them excuses about how you can't do this and you can't do that. Is it true? Is it really true? You can't. You can't stick to a diet. You can't stick to new nutrition. You can't get back in the gym. You can't start doing what you used to love, right? What if your dream was to be a professional basketball player, but you're like 5'5", 5'8", you're 50, you're 40s, right? You ain't worked out in years. So you tell yourself, well, my dream was always to be a fucking NBA baller, so I can't do that. Okay, well, that's real. I like that you're at least realistic. But if you still have a love for the game, do you get more out of watching other people play the game? Or would you get more out of you signing up for a league, for a team close by in your own backyard, where you show up once a week, 3 times a week, and you're actually out there huffing and puffing, shooting, blocking, defending, grinding it out? What would you get more out of? Watching them other dudes making millions? Or you saying, hey, I remember I had that dream and I still have a love for the sport, so I'm going to find a way that I can still participate in something I love. But you've told yourself you can't be an NBA baller, so that you can't even just go and join a club, so that you won't now, right? I can't be in the NBA, so I won't go sign up for the league in my own backyard that I could play in, but I won't, because I can't be an NBA fucking superstar. I won't continue to participate. And some of this stuff we have to let go, right? But then you get to the deeper level. Well, what was it about your passion for the game when you were in high school or college or back when you were just younger? Oh, it was the competitive stuff. It was the cardiovascular exercise, right? Again, is it that you can't look at it from a professional perspective? Well, there's plenty of things you could still do that's competitive, and there's plenty of things you could do that provide cardiovascular, and there's plenty of things that actually include groups or teams that you could participate in. But is it that you can't or you won't? Keep bullshitting yourself. I can tell you this. I'm done bullshitting myself, and I'm done bullshitting others. I show up real and live every single time. Unscripted, unrehearsed. I'm going to keep getting on this motherfucker. I'm going to keep sharing a message, right? A message of transformation, a message that I hope inspires you to spring into action, right? To do something new today, to do something new tomorrow, next week, next month, as we coming up on May. Here we go. It's May. Who's in the beach body season? Who's excited about beach bodies, right? Who knows that at this point you could already have been 4 months in, right? Because January 1st, new year, new me. Well, who's got the new? Who's been doing the new? Congratulations. I'm proud of you if you've been doing some new. But those of you that are still sitting on the sideline, thinking about it, waiting for it, wishing to do the new, today's the day. Lots of time wasted, fine. It's your time, not mine. I don't waste my time no more. I stay after it. I stay ready. I don't get ready. I stay ready. Mission ready every single day. Because you know the drill. Results kill excuses. It's all